afternoon, everyone. My name is Yu Neng, and I'm the Mentorship Officer for the Creative Arts Program. I will be hosting this showcase of young poets from the Creative Arts Program and the Creative Writing Program. The Creative Arts Program is an annual creative writing seminar for secondary and junior college students. The program seeks to nurture young creative writers by connecting them with professional poets, authors, and artists and creators in other media such as music, film, television, and drama. The secondary and junior college students that you'll be hearing from in today's showcase are graduating mentees from the Creative Arts Program Mentorship, a one-year attachment where student mentees are paired with a professional writing mentor who guides their work while also connecting them to the larger community of writers and publishers in Singapore. Also here today are primary 6 students who have graduated from our sister program, the Creative Writing Program. This showcase will feature the work of some of our very precocious 11 and 12-year-old poets. Our first poet today is Resurgence, a CWP poet from Rosyth School. She'll be sharing her poem, Hibernation.
So, I am Resurgence from Rosyth School. My poem represents the process of hibernation. I wanted to portray what the animals have to go through when they hibernate. They will have to wait many long months before finally emerging from their resting places to see spring. Yet they have to sacrifice a lot as well. Some animals do not make it through the winter. I wanted to show the reader the animals' determination. Even though they know they could die, they will still hibernate to wait for spring's arrival because it's their only choice. They do not regret it. Instead, they wait patiently for spring to come. I faced challenges in this poem with rhyming. I wanted the poem to rhyme, but I did not wish to sacrifice content just for the sake of rhyming. I had to select specific words that rhyme with each other, yet still fit the meaning of the poem. The last leaves have started to flutter and fall. The trees stand bare and tall. The cold wind blows against grit and stone as I head back home alone. I curl up my tail beside my face, sleeping as the days while away. I close my eyes and calm my mind, forget the wasteland I've left behind. My heart beats slow and steady, barely alive but still breathing, my slumbering mind dreaming as I lie here asleep, awaiting. I hide away from the snow and ice till the moment I finally arise. Asleep I make my sacrifice to the land I dream of, paradise. In darkness I stay, frail and thin, yet I know it's worth what I win. My body is cold, and still I remain, waiting patiently till spring blooms again.
Next up, we will hear from LEONG, a CWP poet from Anglo-Chinese School Primary. He will be reading his poem, Life in the Ocean.
Okay, so firstly, I would just like to share a few things about my poem. So I was originally inspired to write this poem because of one of my friends, one of my schoolmates, who actually, if I'm not wrong, got into the news by I think, if I'm not wrong, advocating for some environmental causes. And then after that, I started thinking, okay, so like people are advocates for this environmental thing, but I don't want to write about like pure environmental stuff because that's not exciting. So I decided, what is a good place to start? And so I thought, maybe we shouldn't do this on land, but instead in the sea. So I decided, because on the land it's quite common, like people always talk about global warming and stuff, but actually nobody really looks at what is happening in the ocean. And so that was why I thought I might write this poem and maybe also get some recognition. So yeah. And so my poem is just called Life in the Ocean because it's about life in the ocean. And I'll just begin reading, I suppose. Evening turns to night. Gone are the last rays of light. In the cool, chilly breeze, the shoreline crabs are appeased. They come out to hunt with their friends, scuttling along the sand. The waves roll forward, then retreat. The hushed whoosh is a wondrous feat. Flowing water ripples, through the sand it dribbles. The cool water on the shore leaves the sand wanting more. The lighthouse begins to shine, piercing through the dark in lines, a beacon to lead the way to ships cruising along the bay. As the sun slowly ascends and night finally ends, fish appear to swim in sunlight, scales shimmering so bright. This sight stretches on for miles, its beauty alone makes you smile. Morning comes and wakes the birds that flap their wings and fly towards the open ocean far away, a calm body beyond the bay. Pelicans swoop into the sea, soaring fast, high and free. But garbage is dumped in by the town, turning the once clear waters murky brown. Toxic rubbish is everywhere, the stench of rotting fish lingers in the air. Huge oil rigs are deployed, more habitats are now destroyed. All the drilling for crude oil, these marine habitats despoiled. And now there's an oil spill from a leak. The situation has become very bleak. The poor sea creatures go without food. Birds trapped in oil lose their brood, cawing feebly, unable to break free from the dark patch on the sea. Oil still gushes from the leak site, making it harder to put things right. Down deep in the beds of the sea, the coral reef is littered with debris. Overfishing caused depletion of the fish in the ocean. Fished faster than they can multiply, the marine creatures' end is nigh. The population is dropping, yet mankind is not stopping. Should we not start anew and preserve this ocean which we knew? It's an ecosystem to preserve, so let's give back what the fish deserve. We must aim for sustainability to the best of our ability. And yeah, that's the end. Okay.
Our third CWP poet today is Neo Sing Ing Vera from CHIJ Primary, Toa Payoh. Vera's poem is titled A Hawker Center.
Hi, my name is Vera Neo from CHIJ Primary Toa Payoh. The inspiration behind this poem is the recollection of how empty and quiet the hawker center near my house was because of the restrictions put in place to manage the COVID-19 pandemic in Singapore. That inspired me to write this poem because Singapore's hawker culture is certainly one of a kind and can never be replaced. I wrote this poem to convey how special and unique this important culture is. I hope you enjoy my poem. Fragrant aromas waft in the air, and colorful signboards attract attention for all arrays of cuisines, everyone exuding the flavors of Singapore. A kaleidoscope of colors, made up of desserts and tasty treats, colorful packets of tissue reserving spaces and seats. The warm, welcoming feel of the bowl, the clattering of cutlery and ladles, round and fixed white stools surrounding big circular tables. The hum of fans whirring overhead, the noise of patrons slurping food, the buzz of chatter between tables, and the caw of crows in a brood. Patrons weaving their way between the queues of snaking lines, everyone clamoring for a bowl of food, which reminds them of old times. For decades, stalls have served tantalizing food, so here mouth-watering dishes remain, each dish representing a different ethnic group, making up a lively and bustling domain. There's nothing like hawker tradition, an unending culinary mission, built over the many long years with each hawker's blood, sweat, and tears. Thank you.
Our next poet is a creative arts program mentee from St. Joseph's Institution, Tua Yen Zhi Owen. Owen was mentored by local poet Theophilus Kwek. He'll be reading his poem, For Those of Us Who Are Different.
Hello everyone, I'm Owen from St. Joseph's Institution. Today, I am going to share a poem that I wrote, titled For Those of Us Who Are Different. I wrote this poem because I wanted to reach out to the people who feel different. I wanted to convey that being different is indeed hard, but we must all draw strength from within and challenge our own internalized insecurities and judgments in order to truly embrace different. For those of us who are different. For those of us who stand at an intersection, fearing decision, alone, feeling like we have to choose, knowing is subconscious, feeling is real. We hide under a guise of norms defining us, bound by who we see in the mirror, a facade, dawning skin crafted for us, molded to perfection, a forced comfort. For those of us who fear the power of our own hearts, our life source, tender, keeps us going, a curse that we would give away unknowingly until it is too late. A stupid desire, something impossible, unnatural, wrong, a different kind of love, ramming against our chest, trying to break free from its cage where we confine it. For those of us who cannot close our eyes, the power of dreams beyond our control, before we wake up and forget, holding ourselves trapped in our own thoughts. A place of turns and ends, labyrinth leading in circles, a fog that consumes us, leaving us hidden behind closed doors with little cracks, people staring in, confused. For those of us who continue to hold our breaths, not letting a single word nor sound escape, a place we try and conceal, a secret, a part of ourselves we try so hard to forget to no avail, scared to ruin everything we love for something we can't change. We are different, but is different always bad? Unusual, are we normal, but believe in ourselves and what is out of our control, and one day we can finally exhale. The words come out. Let's embrace that which we cannot change. Thank you.
Next, we have Faith Lo Tse-en from Jurong Pioneer Junior College. She was mentored by Desmond Con. Her poem is entitled, Someone Entrusted Their Shop to Me.
I'm Faith from Jurong Pioneer Junior College. I was mentored by Mr. Desmond Con, and my poem today seeks to explore the idea of legacy through the inheritance of history and becoming part of that history. So here's my poem. Someone entrusted their shop to me. Today, I've just gotten its keys. It's 2 stories tall. They said, oh, it's all yours. Someone entrusted a shop to me. The address says it's just down my street, probably not too far from Clementi. Google tells me it used to be bustling with uncles and aunties in their youth, buying film, cameras, and processed pictures for their diaries. I get there and look, sweep every cranny and nook. But what to do? Next door still looks more pretty. So I pushed out the carts, stands, cashier, refurbished the black room, and installed furniture. Set up social media pages calling the kids next door to take a look. Old photographs displayed in display books. This is my grandfather. Then I gave an offer. Here's a disposable camera to immortalize yourself forever. And I processed the film and draped them all over the shop. I lived with ghosts of people's past and some shots of pet fishes and frogs. Slowly, I fit myself into the quaintness of the shop until I could pass on the keys, until I became another picture on the wall. Thank you.
We will next hear from Elizabeth Yip Sing-en from Anglo-Chinese School Independent, who was also mentored by Theophilus Quek. Elizabeth's poem is titled Domestics.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth from Anglo-Chinese School Independent. As social distancing measures relaxed, I was asked to host a gathering in my home. I hesitated to reveal something made so private by the pandemic. This hesitation then inspired me to write Domestics. As our social lives experience a resurgence, I hope we remember to reconcile the public and the private in order to authentically reach out to others. Lately, I've been into Domestics, though I didn't think you'd mind. I promise to cycle through the motions, ask you what you'd like for dinner, when is best for spring cleaning, which supermarket you want to make our own. There's so many things to know, and truth is, most of them I don't. All this time, the room in my head has been pristine, for fear of dust, death, or the dirt between. But please knock anyway. Bring as much as you please, the mud on your shoes, your holiest towels. There's a room here, it could do with some living. Thank you.
Next, we have Yong Chi-han from NUS High School of Mathematics and Science with his poem, The Sound of Shapelessness. Chi-han was mentored by Yao Kai Chai.
Hello, I'm Chi-han from NUSI, and I was mentored by Mr. Yao, who inspired this poem with the unusual prompt of the video of myself washing my hands. To me, hand washing is what I do at the start of a new day. It's kind of like the bridge between today and tomorrow. So I wrote this poem to capture this idea of waking up to a new day and the simultaneous struggle of having to find yourself again and again. When I was writing this poem, I tried my best to show that I was not rejecting, but rather embracing this cycle as part of our human nature. It represents resurgence, as our identities are always changing, and our constant contradictory urge to nevertheless define ourselves is both incomprehensible and incredible. So without further ado, here's my poem. The sound of shapelessness is not something you can cup in your hands, dear dreamer. It cannot be swished between the chinks of your enamel armor, nor splashed to slough off this stubborn sebum. It must be dispensed, dropwise. Make wide the mouth of your copper tap. Let the sound of shapelessness take form. Feel it splash and trickle. Let it stroke you like a river with its stones to reveal the makings of a self. The only thing left to do is wake up to them. And that's it. Thank you.
Our next poet is Joy Huang Sixuan from Anglo-Chinese School Independent. Joy was mentored by Eric Tinsey-Valles, who is, coincidentally, the director of Poetry Festival Singapore. Joy is reading her poem, The Hands of Time.
Hello, my name is Joy Huang from Anglo-Chinese School Independent. The poem I'll be reading today is titled The Hands of Time. I wrote this poem to try and play around with the systematic mechanical images given by clocks, in contrast with the lack of control in nature. It aims to convey the idea that the only constant in the circle of life is loss. People tend to have bountiful desires, wanting more and more, because that's what makes us human. And oftentimes they do not get what they wish for. Although we may grapple and gripe, there are just some things that are unattainable in life. This poem illustrates the struggles of loss and hopelessness, but it also shows how we can learn to start again. The hands of time. So these strings that I've held so tightly onto have not led me to salvation, but a crumbling twist of fate. Of gravel turned to dust, of glass turned to sand, the kite just farther away from the ground. Before birth, we begin as seeds, embedded within the soil. Still, the timepiece ticks and all its gears like a turntable too past its time. The hands of this clock have yet to stop despite having taken out the batteries. Another gust of wind. Leaves rustle loud in the foreground. Sooner enough, the seeds gain sentience and discover the human want and need. Then my feet sink as if grass was like quicksand poised to drag me down. By the time they have sprouted, they've learned to stand on their own. The truth is that even the centuries that I've walked this earth have been unable to teach me the ways of clockwork, that the harrowing reality of life has taught me nothing but love and loss. Singeing sun sets over town. And so they stretch further into the sky, trying to reach the sun. Fading footsteps follow in the forage, the hunt for the kite in the wayward wind, whose course was never set for homebound. As the seasons change, their leaves begin to fall. To learn to let go the hands you once held, to learn the bitter truth of loss overdue and can then never again be found. By then, the once seeds return to the soil, and they learn to grow again. Thank you.
The final Creative Arts Program mentee today is Kelly Chin Kai Lee, who was mentored by Heng Siok Tian. Kelly is a student at UNOEL Junior College and will be bringing us full circle with a poem titled For Spring to Come.
Hi, I'm Kelly from UNOEL Junior College, and the poem I'll be reading today is titled For Spring to Come. I wrote this poem as a sort of response to a quote from Vincent van Gogh, in particular the phrase, "In spite of us, and without our permission, there comes at last an end to the bitter frosts." Its title is also a reference to the Japanese song Haru Yokai, which expresses a yearning for and a persistent hope in the arrival of spring. In writing this, I wanted to focus not on this metaphorical spring itself, but on the winter, which is usually long and lonely and is sure to return again after the passing of another year. This is how the poem represents resurgence, in that by acknowledging that one usually can't do much to end this winter by their own efforts or strength, the turn towards spring that arrives regardless feels all the more sweeter.
And it is true that in winter, it is sometimes so bitingly cold that one is tempted to say, "What do I care if there is a summer? Its warmth is of no help to me now." Yes, evil often seems to surpass good. But then, in spite of us, and without our permission, there comes at last an end to the bitter frosts. One morning the wind turns, and there is a thaw, and so I must still have hope.
For spring to come. Dust settles on the empty bookshelf, a tree shedding its last leaves, snow cooling into ashes. Some time ago, spring departed, and with it, your breath wavering half-formed words, seeking out warmer places. Cracks ripple through ice. Caverns yawn and open, the emptiness within expanding as quickly as a single breath. A life portioned out into cold, unfeeling spaces. Footsteps and music and other sounds thickening into a single distant beat. Soft thumps, like radio signals unseen in the foggy air. And through a glass ceiling, no sight of sky or stars. No comforting darkness, no moon to light the way to shore. Only the sea. No waves or tides, only a big blue stillness. Time does not pass. Days do not begin or end. There is no slow lightening of skies, no hopeful turn towards dawn or end. There is no slow lightening of skies, no hopeful turn towards dawn. And yet, the seasons change. Not for reason or will or the slow blink of realization, but a simpler song. Colors rise and fill in the gaps. The daffodils bloom, not in spite, but because. And in the frozen pool, past moments remember their limbs, unfold like lotus petals, in silent defiance of the remaining cold. Leaves flutter, pages turn, words remember their sounds and fall into place. Morning might not come, but still the wind rises and carries you into the warm white of day. Thank you.